I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, October the 29th, brought to you in part by Fairpiece, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven. Help calves overcome the anxiety and stress from weaning. Fairpiece counteracts stress and reduces threat perception on all cattle treated. For more information, go to fairpiece.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, 5,500 for the big feeder cattle auction here on Tuesday. They're going to have 3,500 calves, most of them weighing 400 to 600 pounds. A few more weaned. Going to have about 25% of those calves being weaned, so we'll start seeing more calves being weaned as we go forward. And 75% or more of those calves will have at least one round of shots on them. They're going to have 620 calves from Tom Stevens from Guyman, Oklahoma. Tell you what, they're F1 red baldies and black baldies, and the heifers on them will be good for replacement quality heifers. If you're looking for some good F1 replacement quality heifers, guys, most of them be weighing in the 5 weights, but that's a really nice consignment there. But they're going to have a lot of big strings of calves on the deal. 2,000 yearlings, probably be 300 or more heifers, most of them weighing from 700 to 900 pounds. There'll be 3 loads of 7-weight yearling heifers there on the offering there at Beaver County Stockyards. 15 to 1,800 yearling steers there, most of them weighing from 800 to the 10 weights there. But be 635 head of 7 and 8 weight yearling steers off of one deal, coming off the grass there, guys. But a really nice offering of both calves and yearlings on Tuesday here at Beaver County Stockyards. You can view and bid that sale at DVAuction.com. You need to call Jerry early, and she wants to talk to you if you want to get approved. Don't just click you want to be approved and expect that you're going to be approved. Call them at Beaver County Stockyards. Now Wednesday, they're going to have about 500-600 head of cows there. There'll be some older bred cows and mixed bred cows in the bunch there, but mostly just weigh-up cows and bulls. But they have a premium consignment there, guys, something you don't hardly ever get a chance to purchase. They're going to have 16 head of longhorns. Now these have been traveled all over the country performing for people. They're coming from West Sanders off the Chain Ranch. And you may have seen them perform, being in parades, rodeos, and different things like that. They had them at Sid Slatton's wedding over the weekend, and he decided he wanted to trim down a little bit. He's got well over 100 of those put together now, but the racks on these things are unbelievable. And just think, you know, what the Cape mount would look like on these big longhorns, and I mean, no telling what those heads are worth, guys. They're going to sell at Wednesday around noon, and they're going to sell them one at a time. Like I said, they got 16 of them. I was talking to Lane Conkle there. He said you could put a dozen or more of them. They would be really nice, really good shape. And like I said, they're tame. They'll do what you want them to. You could drive them in different events and things like that. And I mean, they would make great pasture art for you. And then they've got those heads, guys. I mean, you've seen what those heads bring at different places, especially if they get them Cape mounted, I tell you what. But don't forget about that. That's going to be a neat consignment there, and that's on Wednesday's sale and selling about noontime. Big movement and big gain last week on your fed cattle. Tell you what, we hardly ever see 100,000 head move anymore in a week. Negotiated cash trade, we saw 98,000 move last week. Very impressive. Altogether, including the negotiated grid, the forward contracts, and of course the big formulas, near 424,000 cattle sold last week, fed cattle. And I mean, that's very impressive to move that many cattle. And the reason we had such a big movement is because the price was so much higher. Your live FOB negotiated fat steers there were up $2.44 on the weighted average on steers compared to the previous week. That is a big gain. In October, we just don't see that, guys. And I'll be the first one to admit I didn't see this rally in the market coming, right in the face of the fall run and in the middle of it, guys. But it's here, and this market has more throttle to go. I think our fundamentals are finally catching up. We've been waiting and waiting, and of course we saw all-time record high prices this past spring, but it could go even beyond that, guys, this coming spring, because these numbers are just so short, and nobody can resist it anymore. Your packers can't resist it. They've got these box beef cutout values up. Your choice boxes are the highest they've ever been for October. Retail beef prices are the highest they've ever been, ever. And that's tough on the housewife, but guys, you gotta have a chance to get paid for your cattle, and you're getting it right now. And I'm just so impressed and surprised about this market. I can't tell you, but we've still got all the weaned calves to go for the fall run. I mean, we're halfway through the fall run. It's been mostly ballers. And guys are buying them, even though a lot of the guys are having a lot of trouble getting them straightened up. But wait till these weaned calves come. What will they give for those? Farmer feeders like to feed big fancy calves. They're finishing up harvest, and it's been impressive. And your price on the corn is cheap. They've got a ton of silage out there. They've got hay. Hay is plentiful and available everywhere. So these farmer feeders are going to come in rabid for some of these fancy weaned calves. And as we go on towards the end of the year, and then especially right after the first of the year, once it gets consistently cold, then we're going to see really big fancy strings of weaned calves start coming to the market. There's no telling what they might bring. But I was able to stop at Joplin Regional Stockyards after I left the Buck Ridge Cattle Company production sale over in Seymour, Missouri. Was coming through the Joplin area there, and was able to stop and see my friends Mark Harmon, Russell Sleep, the auctioneer there, of course Jackie and his boys there, and visit with a lot of the guys that I know from around Joplin. Been in and out of that market for the last 25 years, and appreciate that market. It's the biggest stockyard in the nation right now, and they are expanding. That goes to show you how excited they are about marketing cattle in a competitive nature in an auction setting. They're adding on, putting a bigger, more roof on there. They're going to be able to hold another 3,000, 3,500 under roof. They could already hold 10 to 12,000 under roof. But the main reason was they needed some more loadout docks. I mean, they've got 5, I think, there to load trucks, but they want to speed that process up a little bit more. But spending money there, already the most impressive facility you'll see anywhere in the world. But they're continuing to expand there, improve all the time, and they're aggressive, guys. I mean, I talked to Jackie and always enjoy talking to him. I mean, he's upbeat about this market. He's as impressed with it as I am, and he says, especially in the Joplin area, he's not seen as many calves come. He's been selling mostly yearlings, and and guys in Southwest Missouri, this part of the country, they had a really nice spring and a nice early summer. They've got tons of hay. They are keeping those calves back, a lot of them. They're weaning those calves, but our numbers are so short. They're expecting big prices, and likely are going to see big prices coming as we see those long-time weaned calves start coming, and they'll be selling a lot of cattle in Joplin over the next month and a half. They've got yearling specials. They've got wean back specials coming up, and guys, pay attention to that. If you want some cattle, they've got them at Joplin Regional Stockyards. It's dry everywhere, all through the midsection of the country, and even to the southeast. And you think, God, they're still trying to recover from those floodwaters that came from that big hurricane, or a couple big hurricanes there. But talking to my friends in Mississippi and Georgia, it is super dry. It hasn't rained a drop since, but high winds across the southern plains and the lower Midwest on Monday, expected to continue high winds. That brings about storms, guys, and we've got the promise of some really nice rain coming across the midsection, the southern plains, late this week and over the weekend. I don't know how it can miss us, guys. I mean, of course, it'll probably be spotty when it comes, but expecting big rains in your hard red winter wheat region that has been so dry. You know, they dusted that crop in. There was enough ground moisture there from a good spring and early summer that most of it's up, but it's got to have a drink. And man, if we get these rains that they're expecting to come across late this week and over the weekend, these lightweight steers and heifers, these stockers, there'll be even more demand for them. And it's going to go crazy. Looking at some of the things that are a thorn in my side, this mandatory EID, we're getting right at the cusp of that. It's going to come in on your breeding stock and all intact males and females over 18 months, all your exhibition cattle, your rodeo cattle and everything like that. And now we're starting to see more things that frustrate us more about that. Evidently, there is a shortfall in the funding for these EID tags. So now they're not going to be furnishing these EID tags from USDA. And so, you know, who's going to pay for that? Of course, the producer. But I'm expecting more hurdles even between now and November the 5th for this mandatory EID, and I cannot wait till they come. And it's not that I'm so upset about the breeding stock having to be EID tagged, because you know all of your cows have always had metal tags, which are going to replace them with the EID tags, but now they're not going to be all paid for. But I just know that they're going to be coming soon behind that with wanting it to be on all classes, and that is a total wreck. It cannot happen. It is going to limit your options for marketing. It's going to put undue pressure on our auction markets, which is our only real competitive type marketing we have on commercial cattle anymore, and it's going to make it tough on small producers, and especially our older small producers, getting all that taken care of. And you know, our older small producers, that's the bulk of them, guys. And so you know, I'm going to continue to resist that until I can't resist it anymore. Let's talk about your board to open the week, and it was higher. Cattle on Feed report, you know, could have been looked at as a bit bearish, but you know, we didn't see it on the board on Monday, and so everybody's on positive note here. October live cattle futures up 47 cents at 190.17. That's very close to what your weighted average was on live steers in your 5-area feeding region negotiated. So we're here at the end, and it is coming to fruit, and they are converging. So it makes me feel good about your futures market as it follows your fundamentals and your cash market instead of leading it like it does so many times. December live cattle up 12 cents at 189.27. Your back months on live cattle up 17 cents to up 37 cents. So very impressed. Talk about your feeder cattle on your CME futures there. October feeder cattle up 45 cents at 250.07, and now out in front of our cash index levels. And of course, it's got to meet up there at the end of this month, and we're here. But it's $1 or $2 higher. It's $1 higher than your CME feeder cattle index. You know, a little more than $1.50 higher than your real-time index. But we're having higher markets this week. It's a good week to sell cattle, guys, if you've got them ready to go. November feeder cattle up 62 cents at 249.20. And your back months on feeder cattle were up a light amount, up just 15 cents on your farthest out, but coming up closer, up as much as $1.57 on feeder cattle futures, guys. Very impressive board to start the week out on Monday after a slightly bearish cattle on feed report, but we were just glad to see it. It didn't make too many waves. Your grains, look at December corn. It was down 4.5 cents a bushel at 4.10 3/4. November beans down 13 3/4 at 9.74, and hard red winter wheat for December down 10.5 on Monday at 561.5. Your fat cattle market brought to you by Legacy Beef Cooperative, which is going to own a 20% share in Cattleman's Heritage Beef Plant that's being constructed near Council Bluffs, Iowa, guys. But your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade totaled up 82,800 head in your 5-area region. That's a bunch for the way we trade now. That compares to 62,500 the previous week and 67,400 the same week a year ago. Your live sales of fat steers and heifers negotiated cash in your 5 area range from 186.5 to 192. That was $1.50 to $2 higher. Weighted average on live steers 190.05. That was up 244. I mentioned that earlier in the report. That is a big gain, especially this time of year, which you never see. Your dress sales range from 298 to 304. That was steady to $3 higher. And your weighted average on dress steers come in at 298.90, up 269 from the weighted average from the previous week. But as a whole, your Northern Plains market was, anywhere from steady to $4 higher, from 190 to 192. Your dress market in Northern Plains $2 to $4 higher, from 288 to $3, and or 298 to $3, excuse me. But your Southern Plains market $2 to $3 higher, mostly at 190 but up to 191. So very impressive fat cattle market last week, and I can't stress how impressive that was, especially coming this time of the year. But nationwide negotiated, we sold 98,000. Compares to 78,900 the previous week and 77,500 the same week a year ago. About 23% of that 98,000 was for the 2 to 4 week delivery. That's not a lot. Of course, they're wanting to get some cattle out front to kind of stop this rally, but not sure they're going to get it done as hungry as they are. Negotiated grid sales last week, 48,100. Forward contracting sales last week, there were 28,800 contracts written last week on fat cattle, and formula sales 284,700 head. Big movement. Of your 4 out of 5 regions, of your big 5 that we get information from, Iowa sold a whopping 43,500 head negotiated cash. That is about 10,000 more than a regular movement for them. And they were wanting those good cattle out of Iowa. They're wanting the best cattle because they've got holiday interest on the beef. But a huge movement out of Iowa. Now Nebraska was a little bit under what they would typically do at 26,900. Kansas 8,100 head. And Texas just 4,200 head. But a fat cattle auction that we saw, which I like to get those because I like to talk about the competition in an auction setting. New Holland Sales Stables, New Holland, Pennsylvania. That's an old stomping ground for me. They sold their fat steers $2 to $3 higher, with top quality slaughter steers selling from 192 to 205, and high dressing individuals up to 216. Pretty impressive, guys. How about your box beef cutout values? Higher on the choice, lower on select, but it's all about the choice. Choice cuts $323.50, up $1.26 on Monday afternoon. Selects were down $2.90 at $292.18. Your slaughter starting the week off, a pretty good point there, 121,000 estimated cattle slaughter on Monday. That's 1,000 more than last week and 3,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Callaway Livestock Center in Kingdom City, Missouri. That's one of our DVAuction broadcasters there. Jack Harrison does a great job. We've been friends with him forever, and they've been broadcasting with us for a long time there. They're having a Callaway livestock video coming up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Halloween Day, October the 31st. They're just kind of getting this video going, their in-house video that they do with help from DVAuction, but they are going to have replacements and feeders on this video sale from Callaway Livestock Video coming up at 1 o'clock on October the 31st. They've got 100, and be all fancy. All the stock that's going to be there is fancy. They've got 180 head of 9-weight steers going to be selling on this video. They've got 155 head of 7-weight steers going to be selling there, and 485 head of 7 to 8-weight heifers going to be selling on Callaway Livestock Video on Halloween at 1 o'clock p.m. Then on the replacements, they've got 65 head of 950-pound Gardner genetic replacement heifers ready to breed. Where are you going to find them? The work's been done, guys. All you got to do is get them bred the way you want to breed them. They've got 40 head of young Angus fall pairs going to be selling on that video. I have around 220 head of fancy bred heifers, that'd be mostly all black there, and 350 head of young black bred cows, and by young I mean 3-4-year-old cows. And bred heifers be really fancy, just like the bred cows there. But you can check them out at CallawayLivestockVideo.com. Find out more information about them. Call Jack Harrison at Callaway Livestock. Find out everything about that sale before it takes place on DVAuction on Halloween Day, right after lunch there. Let's talk about your big feeder cattle auction, or your feeder cattle market, which is impressive. Your real-time index on DVAuction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states, 248.31 after business on Monday. That was up 18 cents from the end of last week. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index at 249.37. Talk about some big feeder sales that's going to be on Tuesday here. Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota is going to have a special calf sale at Stockman's West. Now, most of the big calf sales are in the East Barn. I guess it really doesn't make any difference. It's the same ownership just across the tracks there. But they are having a Charolais-influenced feeder calf special there. And there's going to be 4,000 head or more there. So don't forget to check those out at DVAuction.com. How about your big sales on Monday? Of course, your high volume big sales. Oklahoma National Stockyards still going strong there. 8,500 head in Oklahoma City on Monday. Market was steady across the board for feeders and calves, with a high percentage of balling calves in there. They're getting excited about this rain that's forecasted for late this week and over the weekend. I'm going to be in Oklahoma City most of the week here at Heritage Place racehorse sales, so I hope to see some of you guys there. And you may not be interested, but you may have made a lot of money in the cattle industry over the year, and you want to spend some of it on some race horses there. But we've got them Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Heritage Place racehorse sales. How about Joplin Regional Stockyards, where I was at on Monday afternoon? They had 7,500 head for their sale. The steers sold from steady to $7 higher, with the full advance noted on the big yearling feeding steers weighing over 8.5, which they had a pile of. The heifers were uneven, in a fairly narrow range from $3 lower to $4 higher, but just a little bit uneven. But Joplin was your National Beef-Wire stick-out sale of the day. And check out these prices. This is the market as a whole, guys. Look at your best tested weights. How about 808 head of 5-weight steer calves? They average 550 pounds right on the button, with a weighted average price on all of them of $270.31. How about 1,113 head of 6-weight steers in Joplin? They average 646 at $253.08. There were 854 head of 7-weight steers. They averaged 759 with a weighted average price of $252.79, and 983 head of 8-weight steers at Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri. They had a weighted average weight of 845 pounds. Weighted average price on all of those of $248.48. How about your heifers? 409 head of 4-weight heifers average 456 at $257.10. 729 head of 5-weight heifers average 550 on the button, just like your steers did, with a weighted average price of $241.95. 680 head of 6-weight heifers average 644 at $239.44, and 650 head of 7-weight heifers average 748 pounds at Joplin Regional Stockyards, with a weighted average price of $236.14. Very impressive there for a commodity market, guys. How about some big individual quotes from all over the country? Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington, Kentucky. That's a big flagship location there, home base for Bluegrass Stockyards. Look at this quote. And you got to put wheels under these steers, guys. 122 head, 889 pound steers bring $258. You kidding me? How about my buddy Dwayne Penny? That's commissioning his cattle into Tina Livestock Market in Tina, Missouri. That's northwestern Missouri. He sold Caleb Graham steers, 63 head of them, weighed 912 pounds at $251 1/4. Wow. How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock up in Worthing, South Dakota? They sell 57 steers weighed at 824 at $257. Check out this quote from Russell Livestock, DV Auction broadcaster there in Iowa. Russell, Iowa sells 59 steers weighed 843 at $265. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Faith Livestock in Faith, South Dakota. Pee-wee steers bringing big price there, guys. 50 head of pee-wee steers weighed 406 and bring $395. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.